Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. If there is one powerful government agency which has been in the news regularly for the right as well as for the wrong reasons, then that is the Enforcement Directorate. It is a powerful body with draconian powers to investigate, prosecute, and punish the white-collar criminals who have been indulging in various financial crimes like money laundering, FEMA violations, corruption, banking frauds, Ponzi scams, etc. It is the topmost agency, and thus the law empowers the ED to summon, interrogate, arrest, and attach the assets of the accused at the investigation stage itself and to prosecute the offenders before the courts. Since most of the serious and big financial crimes invariably involve an element of money laundering, which begins from generating the loot, or what are called the proceeds of crime, and it ends with its illegal laundering to convert the black into the white, or to make the illegitimate into legitimate for the benefit of those delinquents, of those white-collar criminals. It is these kind of money laundering crimes that keep the Enforcement Directorate's hands full all the time. Since such crimes generally involve large sums of money, the accused under investigation by the ED are generally high-profile politicians, rich businessmen, corporate groups, and powerful bureaucrats. It is the law and it is an agency to investigate and punish all those who become rich through illegal and illegitimate means. In the matter of such money laundering cases, a recent PTI report says that cases related to bank loan frauds, embezzlement of government funds, and duping of investors through Ponzi scams constitute about half of the money laundering investigations which are undertaken by the Enforcement Directorate. PTI report then says that cases of corruption in the government and in the public sector come next, as they form about 20% of the cases being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate under the money laundering law. With such unfettered and extensive powers and rampant corporate banking, financial crimes and corruption in India, as also the growing tendency to use the Enforcement Directorate to settle political scores and rivalry, the ED has been super busy nowadays. The data accessed by the PTI says that between July 2005 to November 2021, the ED registered 4,637 cases of money laundering, of which 22% were related to cheating, fraudulent deeds and disposition of property, forgery, etc. It then says that out of these, 769 money laundering cases related to bank frauds, 297 related to Ponzi and fraud deposit schemes, and 193 cases were filed in order to investigate the siphoning of government funds by various people. The ED attached assets worth 96,868 crores in these money laundering cases under investigation. It further then says that out of a total of 927 corruption cases involving money laundering, which are being probed by the Enforcement Directorate, it filed charge sheets in 222 cases and it attached assets of almost 14,000 crore rupees. The data of PTI then says that the ED filed 24 cases of SEBI Act violation involving money laundering under offences of manipulative and deceptive devices in trading on the markets, insider trading, and substantial acquisition of securities or control. The data finally says that during the 5-year period of 2016-17 to 2021-22, the ED issued 53,672 summons, conducted 2,616 raids, and it arrested 266 individuals under money laundering offences. As we said, the agency has been super busy. The cases have been growing. Like in the case of money laundering offences, the Enforcement Directorate is similarly empowered in the matter of FEMA violations and contraventions, and it has been hyperactive in such cases also. A recent report in the Hindustan Times says that between 2016-17 to 2021-22, the Enforcement Directorate initiated 17,189 investigations under FEMA, for which it issued 27,000 summons. It issued 3,610 show cause notices, and it carried out 771 raids on individuals and corporates indulging in FEMA violations. The report says that the ED also imposed penalty of 4,312 crores in these FEMA cases under investigation. It is commonly believed that the Enforcement Directorate is known to be heavy-handed, coercive, and intimidating in its proceedings, and despite that, its success rate in courts is a mere fraction of the cases that it seeks to prosecute. Under the judicial hierarchy and setup, the ED had its accused need to rush to the courts for relief, and the irony is that the FEMA Appellate Tribunal, which is the apex fact-finding court for FEMA offences, has not been functional in India for the last 2 years, simply for want of appointment of judges or what are called tribunal members by the Government of India. The accused are thus forced to seek relief from other courts because of a non-functional FEMA tribunal in the country. A livid Supreme Court in a recent case noticed this situation, and it also noticed that high courts are being burdened and flooded with FEMA cases because of this non-functionality of the FEMA Appellate Tribunal. The court threatened to stay all FEMA cases until the government filled the vacancies in the Appellate Tribunal. The entire spectrum of the ED functioning and the alleged harassment that it can cause was evident in the recent raids of the ED on Xiaomi, the seller of smartphones under the popular brand MI. In a controversial action last week, the ED raided Xiaomi offices and seized the bank balances that were there in the bank accounts to the tune of 5,551 crores. Xiaomi began its India operations in 2014, and it has been one of the most successful smartphone brands in the country with a market share of over 20%. The company is a trader and it is not a manufacturer, and it procures fully manufactured mobile sets and other products from manufacturers in India. Xiaomi is said to have remitted 5,551 crores or US $725 million to 3 overseas group entities since 2015 towards royalty payments. The Enforcement Directorate claims that these payments are not for royalty and that Xiaomi has not availed of any services from the foreign entities to whom it is making such payments towards royalties. The ED says that the company gave misleading information to the banks to make such overseas payments. Those in the know of things think that this Enforcement Directorate action against Xiaomi is part of a wider crackdown by India on Chinese companies, whereunder 300 Chinese company apps have been banned. 700 cases of FEMA, money laundering and tax violations have been registered against Indian companies with Chinese promoters and shareholders. Chinese telecom equipment companies have been banned from participating in government tenders, and where any investment by a Chinese entity or investor in India requires a prior government approval. So they think that this action on Xiaomi is part of a larger agenda which is being pursued by the Government of India. Notwithstanding the ED's allegations, Xiaomi denied any wrongdoing, and it said that as a brand, it is committed to India. The company said that all its operations are fully compliant with local laws and regulations. It said that it had studied the ED order and that it believes that all its royalty payments are legitimate and truthful. Xiaomi said that such royalty payments are for licensed technology and for intellectual properties which are used in their India version products. And it also said that it is a legitimate arrangement for Xiaomi India to make such royalty payments. The company said that it is committed to working closely with all government authorities in order to clarify any kind of a misunderstanding. The denial by the company of any wrongdoing did little to alleviate its woes, and it had to rush to the Karnataka High Court seeking relief to at least get all its bank accounts released, which had been attached by the Enforcement Directorate on allegations of FEMA violations. The company argued before the court that its royalty payments were not illegal and that even the Income Tax Department had permitted them as a lawful deduction since 2015. It further said that banks too have permitted such remittance since then. The judge ordered the release of all bank accounts of Xiaomi on the condition that they will be used for its day-to-day activities only. The latest in the case is that Xiaomi alleges that the ED has used physical violence, threats, and coercion in its probe. The company says that the Enforcement Directorate warned its managing director and CFO and their families of dire consequences if they did not give statements as were demanded by the ED. Xiaomi says that its executives were intimidated by the ED when they appeared before it on several occasions in April. It says that the ED threatened its MD and CFO with dire consequences, including a threat of arrest, damage to their career prospects, criminal liabilities, and physical violence if they did not give statements as per its diktat. Xiaomi said that its executives were not able to resist such pressure beyond a point, and that they finally relented and involuntarily made some statements under such extreme hostile pressure and abuse. The ED dismissed the allegations as being untrue and baseless and a mere afterthought. It said that it is a professional agency with a strong work ethics and that there was no coercion or threat to the officers of Xiaomi India at the time of its action that took place. To us, that's not the end of this case. There certainly is more to come, and we would not expect the Enforcement Directorate to mend its ways, even if the allegations of Xiaomi are found to be correct. The fact of the matter is that many such cases are taking place. They could be because of evasion, as the ED alleges, or they could be because of bona fide differences in interpretation of law. But whatever it be, when the ED gets going, the difficulties for the one being raided are certainly very heavy. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.